Hi guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a simple flower arrangement. So what we're doing right here is we're using Oasis tape. You can get it at Hobby Lobby or Amazon. It's pretty easy to come by. And we're going to use this tape and create a grid on the top of your vase. It's definitely easier if you fill it with water first and then put your tape on the top. It'll stick a lot better that way. So once you get the 3 done, then turn it the opposite direction, grid the other direction. There we go. Make sure your pieces are stuck down nice. And then once you have all of the grid in place, then you're going to take your tape and you're going to go around the edge of the vase, and that's going to hold everything nice and secure. So it is not going to go anywhere. Voila, look at that. So once you have your grid, we are going to use leather leaf. This is just a green leaf that we use for the vases. It kind of helps to hold everything in place and it gives it a nice texture. So you're going to cut off all of the stuff that is dead or doesn't look pretty, and we just need a little bit of nice shape to the leaf. Cut the leaf down, or the stem down, sorry. And the leather leaf has this fuzz on it, so we're going to wipe it off. That's going to help the flowers to last longer when we don't have extra debris in the water. So all of our leather leaf stems get wiped down. And when I push them into the grid, I want to make sure that I'm not pushing the leather leaf so far down that the leaf part is getting in the water. Again, debris in the water makes the water dirty and it doesn't last as long. Clean water makes the flowers last longer. So I'm just going through and making sure I fill out my grid really nice. If you don't have enough greens in your grid, sometimes the flowers don't stay in place too well, but then if you want to put a lot of flowers in, sometimes too much greens makes it a little bit harder. There you can see some of the debris off of the leather leaf on my towel. So then once you get the outer circle filled up, go back through and add a couple more greens to the center of your grid, and then you should be ready to go. There we go. So now that I have everything gridded, you want to look at the shape of your leaves from the top and from the sides. You can see that they were a little wonky, so I just kind of pulled the tips off to make them more uniform. And then these are the flowers that we're going to be working with today. It's pretty easy to buy just a bundle of flowers from a store. So you can use anything like that. So here I am pulling all the excess off of the stem. Again, we don't want debris in the water, so there's no point in having all that extra stuff down there. Measure your stem, cut it down to the length that you need. If you cut it too short, sometimes that's okay. It's okay because you've got the grid to kind of hold it in place, but obviously if it's too long, it's not going to give you the shape that you want. So I usually start with my longest piece to just kind of give me a guide with how I'm going to shape the flowers in this vase. So I did my longest piece first, and then I kind of have an accent piece. That kind of, it just creates a guide for me to go off of. So these I've already cleaned up. I've pulled the extra leaves off of them that I don't want to use, and then I cut it down and just kind of, I'm going to stick a couple of these around just to fill it out nice. So these are kind of my filler flower. So now you can kind of see the shape of it is already kind of there. So the next one, I'm going to take my statement flower, which happens to be this rose. And you can see there's guard petals. You want to go ahead and pull those off. Those are more to protect the flower than they are to look pretty. Some people like the look of the guard flower. Sometimes it just looks rustic. But you can see how nice that cleans up without those guard petals. So I'm going to just place that where I want it. I like to do the statement pieces, or the statement flowers, kind of at the beginning. I use the filler flowers to just kind of fill the background a little bit, and then I put my statement flowers in, and then I kind of finish building off of that. So I've got some little spray roses here, and you can see these ones are a little bit softer because they're a lot more open. The great thing is when they're more open, that's when they're pretty. However, if you use all of your roses that are really open like that and a little bit softer, they're not going to last very long. So it's always nice to add a couple that have a firmer head on them, because those are going to last a little bit longer. They're not quite to the super pretty stage yet, but that gives it a little bit of variety. And then you can kind of see I have a system here. The yellow roses are creating a line, and then my peach colored Alstrom is also creating a shape. So I'm kind of sticking with a pattern. And I really like to use different colors and different textures. If everything looks the same, it can get a little bit boring. If you see a dead flower or a bent stem, cut it off, because it's gonna die. Don't put that. You don't need that in your life. And then you just tuck that guy in where you want it. And then I'm cutting off all the excess. And sometimes more is just more. You don't necessarily need 20 different flowers to be pretty. This one just has about 5 or 6 on it, and that's all I need for that little section of the vase. So don't be afraid to cut off some of the excess. It's still going to be pretty. So calla lilies, I love these guys. They're very classy. But the stems can get really soft, so you don't necessarily want to force them down in there. You want them to just slide down. This one here, I think, has a mushy stem. Yep. Nobody likes a mushy stem. Get rid of that. So I start to guide the stem in there, and then I kind of twist it a little bit. That way it's not going to get caught up on anything. And again, working it into the grid. You can see how having that grid and those greens has just kind of made everything like stay in place exactly where I want it. So here's another nice open rose. We're going to get rid of some of the petals that are a little bit older on that and just make it look nice again. So cutting off the excess again. We don't need a ton of the flowers, just a couple of them on the stem. And I think at this point, once you kind of start to get it full, your vase full, sometimes you need to hold on to the other flowers as you're pushing new stems in, because it'll start to move some of the other flowers around. So you kind of just gotta pay attention to that. And once you get the stem in, you can always go back through and pull up some of the previous flowers that might have gotten pushed down a little bit further. pull the flowers up a little bit. My coworkers are always telling me I need to pull my flowers up, and I like the look of kind of a compact vase, but there is just something very classy about making sure that you have a little bit of space in between your flowers too. Again, if you don't want it to go in the water, if you don't want it to be excess, just get rid of it. Clean that stem up. I'm going to shove him in the middle of the vase. Give it a really nice texture and variety. Not to mention, I love yellow. It's just a super cheerful color. And it adds, one of the things to keep in mind with flowers is complementary colors as well as contrasting colors. So you kind of get a little bit more drama when you use contrasting colors. So I love pairing like yellow and purple and peach and blues and whatnot. All right, guys, it's looking good. So now I'm just going to kind of tweak some of the stuff, pull it up a little bit where it might have gotten pushed down, make sure everything is in place. Fill where you need to fill. And at this point, you've kind of are just down to little pieces left to kind of tuck in where you need them. Again, we want to have some balance, so I think I've got a little bit of yellow in the center, so now we're going to put some in the front and on the sides. There we go. Voila! And this is the end result. So you can kind of look at it from a different angle, and it's nice to take a step back and look at it because then you can kind of see where the shape may be flat on one side and need to be pulled up. But there you have it. It's beautiful. Super easy, right?